Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack those cultural moments, the things you think you know inside out.
And today, oh boy, we're diving headfirst into the late 90s.
Absolutely. Think boy bands ruling the world,
Mhm.
and right at the center of it all.
It has to be I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys.
Exactly, that iconic track.
You hear that opening synth and you're instantly transported, right? But here's our mission today. We want to really get into those lyrics, the ones everyone kind of scratches their head about.
Yeah, the famously confusing lyrics. And also dig into where the song actually came from. Its origins are pretty surprising.
And figure out how this song, which even the people involved admit doesn't totally make sense, became this massive global thing that just lasts.
It's a real puzzle. And we've got some great stuff to work with. We looked at the Genius Lyrics page for the song, super detailed breakdown there. And also this great article, Backstreet Boys. I Want It That Way's meaningless poetry.
Good title.
Right. It sums it perfectly.
Wow.
It's this weird pop paradox. How can a song be so loved, everyone knows it, but also nobody's quite sure what it means?
It's a fantastic question. And yeah, you nailed it. It's hugely popular, incredibly catchy, like it's probably stuck in your head now.
Oh, definitely.
But the meaning, the Genius annotation calls it notoriously muddled.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah, the lyrics don't necessarily make sense. And that confusion, that inconsistency, it's been talked about for, what, decades now?
Easily. It's the core mystery we're tackling.
And it starts almost immediately, doesn't it? Right from the get-go.
It does. Brian kicks it off with those lines burned into our brains. You are my fire, the one desire. Believe when I say, I want it that way.
Okay, simple enough, right? Seems like a clear declaration. He wants things a certain way, his way.
Seems like it. Passionate, direct. This is how I want it.
But then comes the second verse. Nick Carter steps in.
Right.
And he sings, but we are two worlds apart. Can't reach to your heart when you say that I want it that way.
Okay, hold on.
Say, right there, that's the twist. Suddenly it's not him saying, I want it that way, causing the problem.
It's the other person. When you say.
Exactly. When you say it, that's the barrier. That's what keeps them two worlds apart. It completely flips the script from the first verse.
It's a total contradiction. If you're actually listening, not just singing along, it's like, wait, what?
It's a real head scratcher.
And then, boom, the chorus.
Yeah.
Which we've all belted out countless times.
Oh, yeah. Probably with some questionable hand gestures.
Guilty. Tell me why. Ain't nothing but a mistake. Tell me why I never want to hear you say I want it that way.
Okay, so this just doubles down on the confusion, doesn't it?
It really does.
If saying I want it that way leads to heartache and mistakes, why did he say it so confidently in the first verse?
Good point. It's like lyrical whiplash.
And then the killer line. I never want to hear you say I want it that way, but hang on. He said it in the opening lines.
He literally just said it.
It's this perfect loop of illogicality right in the middle of this massive pop song. It's kind of amazing.
It really is. You sing it, you feel it, but you don't necessarily untangle it. I definitely remember trying back in the day.
Me too.
And then just giving up and enjoying the harmonies.
Yeah.
But how did this happen? Turns out it wasn't just random.
No, not at all. The origin story is pretty revealing. It comes down to two guys. Swedish hitmakers, Max Martin and Andreas Carlsson.
Legends.
Especially Max Martin.
Absolutely. They were part of Chiron Studios in Stockholm. That place was basically ground zero for 90s pop. Britney, NSYNC, Celine, Backstreet Boys. So much came from there.
They basically crafted the sound of that era. Architects of pop.
For sure. And Andreas Carlsson, one of those architects, he's been pretty upfront about this song.
Yeah, I saw that quote. He just straight up said it. The lyric doesn't really mean anything.
Can you imagine co-writing one of the biggest songs ever and just admitting, yeah, the words are kind of nonsense?
It's wild. It really makes you rethink the whole songwriting process. Well, he explained it a bit more in an interview. He called I Want It That Way a play with words.
Okay.
He said Max Martin had that first line, you are my fire, the one desire, which is undeniably catchy.
Totally.
Then they were trying out loads of options for the next verse, like a million variations, he said, trying to get that same feeling.
Right.
And they ended up circling back to something that just sounded good, phonetically similar. Am I your fire, your one desire? But here's the kicker.
Uh-oh.
Carlsson admitted, flat out, that line made absolutely no sense in combination with the chorus, but everybody loved it.
Wow. So the sound trumped the sense.
Completely. The catchiness, the vibe,
Yeah.
it just worked. Even if the logic didn't, That explains the inconsistency right there.
And there's another piece too, right? From Kevin Richardson.
Yeah, Kevin added some context in an interview. He mentioned Max Martin's English back then.
The language barrier.
Exactly. Kevin said his English was worse then, and that, kind of contributed to the lyrics maybe not flowing perfectly logically.
So it wasn't just wordplay, it was maybe partly accidental.
Seems like a combination. And Kevin confirmed it too. He said, ultimately, the song really doesn't really make much sense. No ambiguity there.
So the writers knew, the band knew.
And here's maybe the most fascinating part. Our sources say they actually recorded another version.
With lyrics that made sense.
Apparently.
Yeah.
More coherent, clearer lyrics. But the band, the Backstreet Boys themselves, they listened to both and chose the original, the nonsensical one.
Get out. Really?
Yeah. They preferred the version we all know, the one that doesn't quite track logically.
Okay. That is interesting. Why pick the confusing one?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It challenges everything you think about needing clarity in pop music. What do you think?
I mean, maybe the feel was just stronger. That specific combination of words, even if illogical, just hit harder.
Could be. The pure sound, the emotion of it.
Or maybe the ambiguity itself felt more real. Like, relationships are confusing sometimes. Maybe that resonated more than a neat little story.
That's a great point. It leaves space for the listener, perhaps.
It definitely makes you think about what perfect even means for a song.
Yeah.
It's not always about logic, clearly.
Clearly not. It suggests they were going for pure emotional impact over narrative coherence. Which leads us to the fact that, despite all this, the song was unbelievably successful.
Oh, unbelievably. It wasn't just a song, it was everything. It was the TRL era.
Carson Daly, the screaming fan.
The BSB versus NSYNC wars. This song was the anthem for that whole period. If you were around then, you couldn't escape it.
And didn't want to.
Exactly. It was everywhere.
And the accolades back that up. VH1 put it at number 3 on their list of the best songs of the 90s. Number 3.
Wow.
The video won a VMA, Viewer's Choice. That famous airport hangar video.
Club 182 parodied it. That's when you know you've made it.
Right. And it wasn't just fans. 3 Grammy nominations in 2000. Song of the Year, Record of the Year. These are the big ones.
Huge.
And sales. Estimated 30 million copies worldwide. For a song that, again, technically doesn't make sense.
So let's circle back to that main question then. How? How does this happen?
A song the creators and singers admit is confusing becomes this massive, enduring hit.
Is it just catchiness or something else?
Well, connecting it to the bigger picture, I think it tells us something really important about how music works on us. Maybe. Maybe that very confusion, the ambiguity, was actually the secret ingredient.
How so?
Because it wasn't tied down to one specific story, one clear meaning. It became like an emotional mirror.
Okay.
People could project their own feelings onto it, their own experiences with difficult relationships, longing, confusion, whatever fit their life.
So the lack of clarity made it more relatable, not less.
Potentially, yes. It connected on an emotional gut level, maybe bypassing the logical brain entirely. The feeling was universal, even if the words weren't literally clear. It let you write your own story into the gaps.
That's actually a really profound way to look at it. It's not about understanding every word. It's about the feeling it unlocks.
Precisely. And speaking of global reach and weird twists, get this fact. In 2011, the Chinese government apparently ordered the song removed from the internet there.
What? Why? Was it the lyrics?
Nope. Nothing to do with the meaning. It was simply because it hadn't gone through some mandatory screening process for foreign music at the time. Just a bureaucratic quirk in its wild history.
Just another strange chapter for this song. So, okay, wrapping this up.
Yeah.
What a ride with I Want It That Way.
It really is.
From that unforgettable hook through the lyrical maze, we found out it came from this play with words, maybe a bit of a language issue, and crucially, the band choosing the confusing version.
Yeah, and despite all that, or maybe because of it, it became this absolute monster hit that defined an era and still resonates.
So maybe the final thought for everyone listening comes from that choice.
I think so. If we look at the big picture, this whole deep dive really asks something important, doesn't it? When it comes to art, especially music, is it always about having a crystal clear message? Or could it be that sometimes it's the lack of clarity, the ambiguity, whether it's on purpose or by accident, that actually allows for the demisconnection, the thing that makes it last?
Something to definitely think about next time you hear those opening chords. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.